Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the journey that we've gone on at AstraZeneca. So I work in IT. I'm the kind of enterprise social lead. And we've kind of been on a journey over the last year and a half, and we're set to continue over the coming months and years. A little bit about AstraZeneca as a company, first of all. For those of you that don't know, we're a global science-led biopharmaceutical company. We've got operations in 100 countries. We've got close to 60,000 employees, but when you extend that to include kind of our outsourced providers and partners, you're getting close to 85,000. And the challenge that we've had really is that the intranet solution that we have today, it was put in place as a big project years ago. It's never really been loved. It's been sat at the side, and we had the typical challenge, I think, about who should own the intranet. Is it HR? Is it IT? Is it communications? And I think what happened was nobody did. So at the end of 2013, we set out looking for a sponsor because we knew that we needed to do something different. People were telling us that they'd use the smartphone in the morning when they got up. They'd check the weather. They'd check the news, connect in with their friends. And then they'd come into the office in the morning and feel that they'd kind of stepped back a decade when they started trying to use the intranet. So we developed a vision, and we took the vision round to different groups and eventually found the head of corporate affairs who was willing to support us and sponsor us going forward. And the vision was really about making our intranet something that would really help people. So it was something that was going to be simple for them to use, simple and intuitive, and give you the feel that you're used to when you use tools outside of work. But it would really support them and help them to do the things that they needed to do. So whether that was finding information, completing tasks, or connecting in, finding the people that knew the information that they needed, that they could kind of work together with them and innovate on kind of new medicines. And it had to be social. So social, we've kind of had experience with it in the past in various forms, but we knew that this was going to be a real game changer for us. So at the heart of everything that we did, the vision was something that would help people do their jobs with that social feed that could fit through both the content that we would put on the intranet, but also something that would then integrate with the other systems that we use. But we had a number of challenges in trying to get there. So not least, and I was the former service manager for our legacy intranet, it wasn't great. So there were lots of stressful situations where we had performance not right. We had issues with stability. The search that we had built into our solution before wasn't great. I think it's probably the one thing that we had most negative press about. We also had, as a result of some of those issues, a lot of disparate local solutions appearing. So we had people in Russia, China, Japan. Because we couldn't fully support what they needed in terms of performance and in terms of language, they were going off and building their own solutions. So we had quite a kind of disparate set of systems. Social, we saw as being key, but it almost had a bit of a bad press that we'd had experiences with Yammer. It took off, and there were some groups that really embraced it, but it was never fully integrated. So we didn't have single sign-on. It wasn't integrated with any of our business processes, and it was always seen as a tool really looking for a purpose. So in trying to achieve our vision, we had to overcome a lot of the kind of negative preconceptions about what social was. And then finally, we had a massively changing landscape. We had a new CEO come in, a new CIO. We were looking at new technologies, questioning some of the fundamental tools that we'd used in the past. So in looking at Salesforce and other platforms, we needed something that would really integrate and allow us to hook in with whatever system that we were using and not just the ones that we had in place at that time. So we spoke with a lot of companies, spoke with Jai, spoke with Microsoft, spoke with a lot of other organizations about what they were doing. And eventually, we landed on Salesforce. And the three key criteria that we use when selecting the platform are kind of on the screen here. So we've got accessibility. So mobile was key for us. More than half of our workforce don't use a laptop as the kind of primary device. So this is field sales staff that might only have an iPad, people working in the lab and kind of accessing through their smartphone as a primary tool. it also had to be social. So our vision was that we had this social stream that was almost going to be the blood that ran through everything. So we needed a solution that had a compelling social vision. And I think with Yammer, we were seeing that there was still a bit of a disconnect between what was in SharePoint and what was in Yammer. Whereas the vision that was being sold to us by Salesforce and what we were seeing from other companies that had implemented this was that it could achieve what we wanted it to. It could integrate in with the content that we were creating, but it could also help us to kind of tie in with other solutions. And then the final one is global fit. And you'll see as we kind of go through and look at some of the screenshots that having something that works globally and allows us to have one single community with people working together was absolutely critical for us. So we did finally select Salesforce. And what we put together as our kind of overall solution, which we've called Nucleus, it's kind of really a three-layer approach. So we have a content management system. So we're using OrchestraCMS from Stantive, which is kind of built into the Salesforce platform. We have Chatter, which is providing that social layer. And then we have an enterprise search solution as well. So preempting the question, we're using Synequa as a kind of enterprise search tool. And that really provides us with that layer and the ability to search not just Chatter and not just the content that we've got in Salesforce, but anything that we have in SharePoint, in Box, in our kind of heavyweight document management systems. So this is our homepage. And probably two key things around the homepage. One is that it's delivering personalization. So everything that you see as an individual will be based on what you have within your profile. So that could be the language that I speak. It could be the business unit I'm part of. It could be the location and the site that I'm at. So it's delivering back to me information. So we've kind of got these color-coded. So we've got global information on there. You've got information for a business unit and information for your site. We've also integrated Chatter into all of these. So you may just about be able to see, but at the bottom of each of the items, we've got a count of number of comments and count of number of likes. So we're actively engaging people and looking for them to start to come together and start to have discussions around the news that's being published. And then on the header bar at the top, we've also got a link directly through into Chatter. So you have your count of number of new items in your feed, and you can instantly click through. I think one of the things that's been a bit of a mindset shift for people is that in building this, we've developed it as mobile first. So I think when probably 80% of the intranets that we've seen have an awful lot of different types of content on the homepage. However, when you access on a smartphone, all you see is really the first two items. So we've adopted an approach which is news as a primary element that you see, but with the bar across the top providing you with direct access into your enterprise search, direct access across into Chatter. So I mentioned that this is all driven by your profile. So going into your profile, and this is your kind of Salesforce profile just presented differently. I can come in here, I can go through, I can determine what things I'd like to subscribe to. As part of our roadmap, and I mentioned we're on a journey, we are looking at the same with AECon in terms of the additional tabs so that we can make this a place for you to go to find personal information. This is an example of a news story that's been published. And I mentioned that we're mobile first, so this is exactly the same story from a mobile device. And at the bottom of all the stories, we have Chatter. So if I go into here, I type a comment, it's posted and visible through the Chatter feed for anybody that's following me. People can go through and follow individual items, individual articles that they're interested in, and be able to see what discussions are happening around the content. I also talked about multi-language. So here's just a quick example with that we've got Swedish, Chinese, and Russian. So we're currently supporting 10 languages in total. We went live in China yesterday. So we've got 6,000 people in China using this as a primary tool where everything that they see is in Chinese. So all of the tooltips, all of the interface, all of the content is in their local language. And this is pretty key for us because we're operating in a lot of countries. And a lot of the people that are using it are sales reps who speak local language but don't necessarily speak English very well. We've also moved beyond just news and chatter, and this is something that we're kind of accelerating through at the moment. There was a talk earlier about release cadence. We're currently releasing every 2 weeks, so new functionality being dropped in. This is a screenshot, an example of a page that we've developed for IT. So, and it's a mindset shift as well for people that are owning the content. So this is around how can you help people to do the things that they need to do, moving away from a traditional intranet, which would be, this is information about IT, this is what we do. And typically what we find with that type of content in our current solution is nobody really reads it. People, when they go in, want to know, how do I get a problem fixed with my laptop? How do I go and find out what Skype for Business is all about, or what Chatter is? So we're developing these pages. We're using OrchestraCMS, as I mentioned earlier, so we have standard templates available that people can develop and publish their content through. Everything's responsive, so you've got an example there of how things look on a mobile device. And when we are developing content, we're no longer just developing content in isolation from Chatter or from social. So this is an example of a page where on the left-hand side, so imagine that the scene you've navigated through, you want to find about document collaboration, you've got to a page that tells you about Box. It's no longer just a page that lists information about Box. On the right-hand section there, you've got a live feed from the Box topic within Chatter. So you can see the discussions that are happening, you can ask any questions that you've got and get a response back quickly from people that are experts in that area. I mentioned search as well, so this is what happens when you type something into the search box and hit go. So I've just used my name here, but it's returning back down the main section on the left-hand side. It's giving me content pages from the intranet. It's giving me results back from Chatter feeds. And then on the right-hand side, it's giving me these are people that may be relevant to this search term. Or clicking that will direct me into the profile screen that you were seeing earlier. And then finally, just a bit of a kind of summary of where we've got to on our journey. So we kind of started with something available for people to test in January this year. We went live with both Nucleus and Chatter in April. So that was to 20,000 people in the UK and US, so just English only to start with. Since then, we've launched in Japan, in Sweden, in China yesterday, and we're starting to roll out to everybody across the organization. We're continuing to kind of iterate and deliver new capabilities, currently working on integration into, as Justin was mentioning earlier, into solutions like SharePoint Online. So alongside your content, you can see the related documents that are contained within SharePoint, integrating in with ServiceNow and Workday so that you're being presented back and given the opportunity to initiate business processes directly from in the content rather than having to jump out to a separate system and learn a separate user interface. We're getting there. We've got 36,000. I think we're actually, this is slightly out of date, I think we're now at about 41,000 people accessing from 47 countries in terms of our intranet. And then Chatter has kind of taken off separately, and we're currently at around 60,000 active users.